use some of that still in. Okay, but anyway, let's go.
So hi, welcome back. Here we are again. I mean, after last week's episode and this week's madness of having a bit of a grief wave, how you feeling?
Wow, not you want fast forward. How are you feeling?
Okay, wait, let's go again.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to start? Just
I mean, doesn't matter.
is it this stage? At this stage? At this stage?
Okay, okay, wait. Hi. Let's go. Okay. Hi. Welcome back. Hi.
Welcome to our channel.
Welcome to the shit show.
Okay, Dimitri.
Okay, it's been a little tough. It's been tough for both of us, but in different ways. Or it's manifested differently for us. Considering I'm at 3.5 years, you're almost 2.5 years, so our stages of things and how we deal with it is a lot different, and then how we deal with it in general is different. So this week we talking about grief moves in without asking. We're talking about the loneliness and what we touched on actually in episode 2. I mean, and that's also something that's part of the grief. It's part of the grief. It's part of the who you are no longer. You are no longer a wife. Your part in society also changes, and like last week I said, like you feel it's on your head and everyone can see it, because you have lost a part of your identity that can change with time, but in that instance you've lost it. You go from being a wife to a widow instantly, and then to top it off, you're a young widow, and like society sees it almost as it's okay. And I think that's what we also want to get out there, that it's tough. It feels a little tougher because with life stages, it's almost natural when the person is older, but when they're younger and you become a widow and your spouse dies, or not even just your spouse, your person that you've built a life with, grief in itself is a lot, because you still have young children that you have to care for. You still have to manage their feelings. You have to decipher what feelings is what, because I mean, when I went through it, Alyssa was in puberty, so you needed to figure out if it was hormonal, if it was grief, if it was her just having a shitty day. Hayden was a little younger, so thankfully no puberty, but the acting out was different, you know. Riley was 2, so he didn't quite understand it. And like when Alyssa had her breakdown, thankfully I was in a numb phase, so I could manage hers. So that's what grief does to us. So you already don't know who you are. You lose your identity. You lose your person. You lose so much. A future that you thought you were going to build with someone. And all you have is past memories, which you have to cry about and be happy about at the same time. But you lose what you thought your future would be. We bought a house, not even a year. I mean, Ryan died, I think, 10 months after we bought this house. We had so much plans for this house. I mean, I've managed to do it on what we had discussed. But if we hadn't discussed this, I would have been confused, because ultimately I was confused with everything. All I knew is I needed other space. It needed to be different, you know, like that. Your future of how things are going to be, where your children are going to go to school, how are you going to do this? Who's going to handle what part of what finance? Which is like a whole other topic on its own. dealing with the finance side of it. But that's just part of the secondary losses, and then not to add the other stuff that we'll talk about later. But like just the grief in itself.
And when we say we lost our partner, it's also like, so our parents, you play good cop, bad cop. So when mom doesn't want to be the bad guy, she can say, babe, you go. You tell them. Inevitably, Sergio would say, no, you tell them, just say I said. But at the end of the, like, I always had a fall guy.
Yeah.
And the same vice versa. Like,
Yeah.
if he didn't want to be the bad guy, he'd send me in. And for like, the sensitive subjects around the girls' puberty, I could have those conversations with them. But now, when it's Noah's turn, am I supposed to have that awkward conversation with a boy? And I know nothing about puberty for a guy. I'd have to do some research. But so you lose the good cop or the bad cop, whichever he was at that time. You also lose a sense of yourself. You lose, in fact, I think a big part of me died with Sergio. And then you have to adapt this new way of being, where you sort of have to be because even in our relationship, the one was subjective and the other one was objective in different scenarios. Now I have to be both of those things, and it's really, really difficult to be that. And honestly, I think this week my meltdowns was really just about that I'm so tired of being the bad guy. It's all of those things that you didn't need, I didn't have these worries. 2.5 years ago, I didn't have these worries. I always felt like I was the independent woman. I could do everything. I didn't need anybody to do anything for me. And Sergio definitely supported this delusion of mine because he was the guy in the background picking up the pieces that I miss. And again, like, shared routines is now this sole responsibility. Yeah, it's my sole responsibility. And the quiet moments in between are the moments that we would have now sat together, spoken about stuff, deep things. Something that stands out for me and stood out for me a lot this week was, in the mornings, typically, I wake up in the morning, I turn to his side of the bed and I stretch my arm out to him and I just rub whatever I can reach. Rub his arm, rub his back, rub his belly, and then just move a little bit closer and we snuggle up for like half an hour before we need to get out of bed. And he would always, most mornings, he's the one making the coffee. So he would get out of bed and go and make the coffee, and I would either get into the shower, welcome the kids' lunch in. But there was that hand in hand motion that happened. Now I have to get out of bed, make the coffee myself, and put in the lunch. And even if it was my morning to make coffee, he would then put in the lunch, or I'm making coffee and putting in the lunch, but he's outside and he starts the car before we must go. And I don't think I even appreciated that small thing, because sometimes I used to think to myself, what the hell is this man? Like, I'm falling over my feet here, I'm shouting at children to go and brush their teeth and get done so that we can leave, and he's outside hosing the car, But in those mornings when I'm driving and the windows are dirty and the little rain that we have now, it's not working, and I realize, oh shit, I didn't put water in the car, so I can't even use the wipers, not just wipe the windows. And sometimes there is water enough just to smudge the dirt further and the cat paw prints, whatever. But then you miss your person and you realize, like, as much as you could do everything yourself, you didn't have to do it all yourself, because you had this person that was doing the little things, and those little things matter. We spoke about that last week as well. Those little things matter, and it's those little things that we're living without, and your cup just starts to run empty because you constantly pouring out to kids, pouring out into the house, pouring out to the school. Like, you constantly having to do something, but no one's doing anything in return for you, and so you just start to feel empty again. And I mean that's where I'm at. Apart from it being winter,
No.
and you
It's
just go
cold
lay in your
outside.
bed by yourself.
Cold.
It's hella lonely.
I think like our routines were like so different. Ryan traveled a lot, so me doing everything was normal in my space. But when he was home, he was a FBI and a Chicago guy on a Tuesday. I mean, we still have this old school, and that would be the night like we'd sit and watch it together. That I can't even watch anymore. I haven't watched a new season since 2022, and like it's that's like a secondary loss. I've lost stuff that was routine. You know, I used to know I can't talk now. I must wait for the ad break. You know, because this is what he's gonna watch. Um, it was the shows we watched together. It was it was just it was just different. I mean, I knew a weekend would come and it would be sorted. I wouldn't be bored. So I missed that. I mean, so not long after he died, I think Hayden had a loose tooth. And it was weird because that was his job. So as much as like I do everything, I've always done everything. It wasn't a thing in our marriage, you know. He did his stuff, I did my things, and it was just a lot of it. So when he died, I mean, I just continued. But then Aiden had a loose tooth, and I was like, this wasn't my job. And then you realize, shit, this was his function. This was something he would do with him. It was their little thing. He used to do a thing also the few times he would dress them. He did this thing with them when he used to put on their tops. That was a their thing, and like you realize afterwards, like you think, yo, this guy does nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'm so tired. And then, you know, then he dies, and then you're like, okay, you're not as independent as you thought you were, you know, like that. That's what you realize. Um, so yeah, so as much as he was away, I knew he was still here. And then so now that I know he's not in Joburg, he's not coming back. You know, he's flying, not coming back on Thursday or Friday. The loneliness is so bad. Like and it's not just like a surface loneliness, it's like a in your core lonely, like
chest, just like
in your chest is heavy, like till in your core, and you don't know how to fill the void. The children do their thing in the house, so they do what they want to, and I'm sitting alone on the couch, not able to watch the shows that I used to watch, now needing to find something else. So like that space is now also gone, and then you're alone.
And like even the kids are older now. I mean, for most of our marriage, the kids were small and they were so needy and they needed you for everything, and so you're always busy with something for the children. Now you find yourself sitting by yourself because the kids are playing on the PlayStation or they're off to the boyfriend for the weekend, or you know, playing on their phones or whatever, and you just have nothing to do. And I actually said that to them a year after Sergio passed. I said, you know, I think Daddy and I would have really enjoyed this phase with you guys because you're so independent now, and I love that for them. But where does it leave you? It's all of those things that you lose along the way. You start to forget what they sound like.
Yeah, no, I don't know what he sounds like.
Noah actually, Nikia, sorry, not Noah. Nikia was saying, I was saying when I was listening to a Teddy Swim song on the way to drop her at school one morning, and I said, this guy's voice, the raspiness in his voice reminds me so much of your daddy. So I really like listening to his music because it makes me feel like, you know, I can hear Sergio singing the song like at the top of his lungs in the car. And then she said, very blasé, said, oh, I don't think I remember what daddy sounded like when he sang. And that struck me so hard. I actually cried all the way to work that morning because I mean, my dad passed away when I was 21. 20. Anyway, I was an adult when my dad passed away. And when I started to forget what he sounded like, I cried so bitterly. I remember thinking like, no, I don't want to forget how my daddy sounds. And I remember reaching out to his family, asking them for like videos or some where I can hear his voice. And I was frantic about it. Like I just needed to hear my daddy's voice. I didn't want to forget him. And I just put myself back there. I was like, how can she not remember? But she didn't seem like it bothered her as much. And I know that they say children are more resilient, but it's hurtful to me because I don't want the memory of my husband to ever leave.
But I think
That's
with them,
how they live on.
but I think with them, like, they say random things. No, it's like, when Ryan just died, we had a very serious conversation about what happens with me. So we have our plan in place. And it was done blasé, like driving home from school. This is like a normal, like it's an ordinary conversation for a 9 and a 7-year-old to be having with their mommy. But they almost like, they feel it differently. And like other things will trigger them. Not like for us, the voice, the smell, the that. Although like Alyssa, I didn't wear Ryan's perfume. I didn't want to smell it. I didn't even want to lay on his side of the bed. I had to because the children were in my room, but it was uncomfortable. But now, almost 4 years later, Alyssa wears his perfume because it's just been standing. So much things you have to do.
Yeah. And then, I mean, what are some of the other things that we've lost along the way? A sense of self, a sense of belonging.
Definitely a sense of belonging.
Yeah, because and like Saida said, society sees you in a different way. Society now sees you as a widow and some go, oh shame.
And move along swiftly with their lives.
And other people see you as a threat. Some people you just can't go into social settings with anymore because, especially when it's like couples, and then you're the only single there and everybody knows you're single. It's not like you can hide it. Yeah, that's a hard one. And there's some people that are new to a group and they don't know that you're actually a widow. They just see you as this single female. And then they think that you're out to poach their guy. Yeah. And that's never nice. And that's also part of the reason why we just start to stop going to social things. Yeah. Because you just don't fit in.
You don't get invited to the couples things anymore.
You just don't get
because you were third wheel actually. And like it's weird because with some friends you're not a third wheel, but you feel like a third wheel. And then I don't know if it's because you declined that they stop asking. But I mean, there wasn't many invites for you to decline, maybe.
Exactly.
Even
if it's not like a couple thing, even when it's a family thing, sometimes I feel awkward for my children because the children will shout, "Daddy, Daddy!"
Yes.
And
that's a lot.
I look to my kids to see how they're feeling about other children shouting for Daddy. There's so many things that.
Yes, Alyssa used to say, I wish I had a friend who was, who understood.
Yeah.
Because everyone's daddy is here, but like I need a friend that, like when 6 months after Ryan died, another girl lost her husband also suddenly. But it's almost like Alyssa wanted us to become friends so that the children can almost like, because they understand each other. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, it's strange because as much as we're both widows and our children lost their dads, it's difficult because their personalities are so different.
So different.
And even though Nakia and Alyssa were dancing together, their personalities
Oh,
just weren't the same.
Yes, yes.
And again, it brings us back to like the friends and the family that the kids lost along the way. As much as we've lost, they've also lost that. And it's friends that they grew up with, that they've known.
Yeah, that's like your
Just
cousins.
by default,
Yeah.
because our friends' children was all around the
Yes.
same age, and Nakia was best friends with someone that I regarded as a best friend. For years. They grew up together. They literally were babies. I mean, they celebrated their first birthdays at the same time, the same year. And so they grew up together like that in those different phases, right? And even with like families' children, the children are also like scattered in their ages. So when they pair with a child that is actually closer to their age, it's such a beautiful thing to watch that grow. And then you don't ever think that that's gonna fall apart but it does. But here I am at the tail end of all of that, and I still don't know what Dorian is about. Like, what do I like doing? What do I enjoy? And like Zaida was saying, I was watching Grey's Anatomy, so I didn't get onto the Grey's Anatomy bandwagon when it started. And then, my aunts were talking about how interesting it is and it's going so well, whatever. So I started watching it, and I just got caught up with it during my recovery with my hysterectomy, because I was laying in bed all the time. So I was watching that and I got caught up, and then we got this diagnosis. So any medical series is now something I cannot watch. I get so triggered, and I mean, that's something that really was unexpected to me, even after he passed away, before Sergio was passing. But everything in a hospital, even the sound of an ambulance siren. I mean, I can be driving to work and there's an ambulance, and it just triggers me in a way that I would have never thought. I was always the kind of person that prayed, like when I hear an ambulance, and I always pray, Lord, please, whatever that person is going through, I hope they make it and that they're okay. But when the sirens go off now, all I can think of is Sergio and me, actually. And then I just need to get as far away from the sounds as possible. And I had to take my son to the emergency once, and there was a guy on a ventilator. And Sergio died on a ventilator. So it's simple things like that you just, I don't think you realize in that moment that it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. I really hope that at some point I can just be as close to normal as possible. I can walk into a hospital and just be fine and not have it trigger such a massive trauma. Yeah, and you...
Definitely. I mean, the ambulance thing, the sirens didn't go off, but I mean, I found the ambulance when we woke up, and just seeing an ambulance is a thing like, oh shit, it's an ambulance. I mean, now I can drive past it and be like, okay, it's an ambulance. But I mean, initially it was like, where's it going? It can't be coming to my house again, like where, why? So I get that. I mean, thankfully we don't have the ventilator stuff and hospital stuff, but still, there's still other things that get us.
Yeah, even the sound of the tools that the
Yeah.
doctor uses
Yeah.
in her room.
The
Even
machines,
that
the defibrillator, that.
All the things.
So,
suction was...
yeah,
So it was literally everything.
So yeah, so there's that part of that will never, but I mean, it will never leave. It just becomes a softer, like just like with the gut punches that we get when we smell something that's like them. Initially it's knocks your wind out, and now it doesn't knock your wind out as much. So it's also something that will eventually be a part of you. And then eventually one day you will be able to walk in and not feel it.
Yeah.
You will it's like when you have a baby, you remember that it was sore, but you don't remember how sore it was. So it's us living with grief. It's not like the grief gets smaller, it's that we get bigger in it. So that's the part about it. But like the loneliness is like a gut punch as well. Because I mean, so with that sound, you automatically go back to, oh shit, he's not here anymore. And that's like what gets you every time. That, oh yes, you know, it hits you every time. And that's part of like the lonely feeling you get with it, that comes with it. The having a shitty day, having to blow the punches, and then go back and be in your room and you alone. The wanting to pick up the phone and say, yo, there was this that just happened, and you can't.
I actually texted Sergio's number after he passed away. Because I needed to say words to him. Like I needed to say to him, just can you come home? Can I see you? I just needed to see his name and send a message, or like have some kind of interaction. What felt like it. Obviously it wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to respond, but I needed to say it to him. So I typed out a message that read something along the lines of, "Can you please come home? I miss you so much. You don't have to stay for long, but like I just need to prepare my heart. Like this is the last time I'm going to see you, and then you can go again. I mean, I hope that you don't. But if by some miracle you get this message, I just need you to know that I miss you." And I sent the message, and then the phone pinged right next to me. I was like, "Couldn't you take your phone with you? Why didn't you take your phone with you?"
We both still have their numbers. I mean, you've got Sergio's for life, but so do I, because thankfully the number is on my name, so I didn't have to change anything or do anything. And a friend of mine said to me, please keep the number. It's not nice to see your daddy's name on your contact list with a different person's face. And it was always something that stuck. So so Hayden uses Ryan's phone. I mean, and it hasn't been Ryan's phone, but it's Ryan's phone. And she sent me a message, and all I see is Ryan, and I'm like, what the hell, you know? And like, even though she uses the phone, she's so good with not putting up a status, because can you imagine how other people feel
Noah put the status up recently.
Yes,
on his daddy's phone, and the friend actually texted me and said,
what is going on? Yes.
And I was like, no, friend, it's fine. So it's not him. It's Noah using his phone.
So Aiden's going to eventually, and then Alyssa, we always agreed that the children will get their own phones when they turn 12. So Alyssa gets her phone, and I'm like, I'm not ready to depart with Ryan's number. Thankfully, I have another number she can use. But now Hayden's going to be 12. So she's going to get the number, because now I'm okay with her having the number. I'm now used to it. And so we're going to have to do something about that, because for her to start posting statuses, she's going to need to say it's now Hayden's phone, you know, but whatever. So that's something that we have to look at.
It's also cute to know that like people haven't deleted Sergio's number off their phones, because they're still seeing the status updates. And I haven't changed the name from Sergio to Noah, because I'm struggling with that
transition,
separating from his stuff. And in saying that, like his cupboard still has all of his clothes.
Dan's cupboard is also still full.
And on one day I decided, okay, I'm gonna unpack everything now, and I'm going to, put them in vacuum seal bags. I'm gonna put them in storage, and I unpacked, and I just couldn't get myself to actually. And then she just packed it right. We want a video call. Then I just packed it nicely, and so it's all color coordinated again, and his cupboard looks amazing, and at least this time I know it's gonna stay like that. Sergio was that guy that could take his cupboard straight twice a week, and it would still look like a once a hole, as they said, by the end of the week. So yeah, so at least that's still intact.
Most of Ryan's clothes is still it's there. I did do an unpack story. I have shaded some of the stuff, but I did it on his anniversary, on his death anniversary. And someone said, why would you do it today? I said, because it's a day already, so I'm already in my feelings. Can I not just stay in it, you know? But it was so nice, because I did it with a few friends, and we could say like, oh, I can remember when he had this on, So it was like a reminiscent of him. So it actually didn't, like, we cried, we laughed, but it was also it was soul warming, like it felt good. And yes, it was a khaki day, but it was a khaki day in general. So at least we ended with nice memories, like going back. So yeah, so that was that with Ryan's clothes, and still smells like him though, which is the nice part.
I actually can't say that.
So yeah, so on that note, we'd also like to hear from widowers, widowers,
Yeah.
um, other widows, older widows, or not necessarily at the term widows, but if you've lost your person.
I think not even, by no means are we experts in the field
No.
of loss or grief or guts or grace or any of that. And the reason why we put this out there is because we want to build a community of like-minded people. People who think alike, people who might enjoy the same things. Somebody who we could maybe start a new hobby with,
Yeah.
or get to know and go out and socialize and just be like, feel like you're in a safe space, because we're talking about all of those things, the safety, the security, the loss, and then not to dwell in the loss, but just learning to grow and
Yeah.
to move forward. Not saying move on, I'm
No.
saying like to move forward with people who are like-minded. So we definitely want to encourage viewers, subscribers, whoever, just the general public, whoever you are. Whether you lost someone or you didn't lose someone, place a comment down below in the comment section, or follow us on Instagram, and send us, even if it's ideas of what we can talk about
Yeah.
next. And we want to encourage that sort of engagement.
Yes.
So we don't just want to have this be a discussion that Saida and I have. We want it to be an engagement with the greater community, because help us as well. Like I said, we're not experts. We're also just looking for answers and looking to understand things a little bit better. So, come on board. And
I mean, and that one comment from an older widow, that was nice, because she had not understood or figured, how would it be for a young widow to go through this
with children.
with
young
children. So that was nice, because it means we are giving insight to what it's like. And
Yeah, but we'd also like that insight back
Yeah.
from you. So if you're watching today and you're the person that placed the comment there, please, reach out and talk to us.
We'd like to hear your stories.
And also, we're not counselors, so it's not like we're going to give you the best practice. We're just telling you what our practice is,
Yeah.
and we want to share ideas
Yes.
and thoughts.
Thank you. Always good doing this with you.